Hey, also, for this particular video, we are going to do a combination of voicings. We're going to do what we call minor 2-5-1s, which means that you resolve to the minor chord, to the minor one. And then the other thing we're going to go ahead and do, because I'm feeling generous to drop this all in one video, is we're going to do B voicings because we haven't really done that yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and put in the formula. So let's see, we have 3. Alright, so this is the A-B formula we used. Now, we looked at everything saying like, oh, this is D minor. So let's just say we're going to do this in the key of C for a second, just C major, just to repeat. So this is going to be D minor 7, this is going to be G7, and then let's just make this C major, major 7. So the third in the key of D is F sharp, right? And again, as I mentioned in the previous video, just either know the scale or have it written down somewhere, write it out for yourself. It's all good, it all helps, right? So the third is F, the fifth is A, the seventh is C sharp, the ninth of course will be E. Notice it's some pretty thirds there, right? So that's another way that you can identify this particular voicing. Anyway, so now this translates to this. And you know, go ahead and pause me and do the math yourself for the next ones. And in a second, I shall fill them in and we will see who wins the $30 prize. Okay, so that's that. Nothing crazy. Now you'll notice that some of these are common tones, right? And that's the basic premise of using, I cannot remember the name of them, inverted triads, right? So like instead of playing, for example, well, I'll leave that there. Instead of playing C, E, G, F, A, C, G, B, D, because it travels a lot, makes more sense to play C, E, G, C, F, A, maybe D, G, B, right? Because this collection of notes, see how they're a lot closer together? And this is a fourth distance. This is a fourth distance between every voicing there in our root position ones here. So, you know, this is essentially an extension of the idea of using inversions and just making things more convenient, because that's especially important on piano. Anyway, here is our C major 2-5-1. So typically in a minor, you would be looking at something like this, 2 half diminished. Some people also call it 2 minor flat 5. That's a more common thing you're going to see from musicians, because although I'm classically trained, I think of it as a minor flat 5. It just seems to make a little more sense. So you could also just call it a half diminished. I believe Aebersold calls it half diminished. The 5 typically is altered. For example, you might play A flat in it, have a flat ninth in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and say altered so we can explore those possibilities. When it's written like that, it just means alter it some way. And then the last thing we're going to do is make our last chord minor. I'm trying to decide if I want it to be major 7 or not. Let's just do minor 7. So minor, minor 7. So 2 diminished to the 5 alt, and then we're going to play 1 minor, minor 7. so nothing crazy. So now you all know the key of C. I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting scales over here at this particular spot. We're going to leave this formula and this thing here. So there's two different ways we can do this. We can do this the long way, or I'm sure you guys may see another option here. The long way is doing what we did here. So that's what I'm going to do. So in C minor, and then I'm going to use the other way basically just to double check my math. So in C minor, the half diminished 2 is D minor half diminished, right? So that triad, let's just start there. Well, it's not even a triad, right? Because it's half diminished, I forgot. So that whole thing is this. Okay. So there's that D minor, and then here's the flat 5, that A flat. It helps to just know these basic triads and what these chords are going to be. Right. And it'll also give you some clues. So I'm not using the whole scale because we have this thing up here and some of this already has my answers in it. So we don't necessarily need to draw the scale. I always say to do that because you're just going to always get the best answers there. But the thing is you need to know the scale even to just know these triads. So once you get good at them, I know when we do stuff in C, it's easy. Eventually these other keys will be too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and of course, they're going to be very similar voices. All I'm doing is I'm just going to be changing this one and that. So here's my two half diminished right thing. And it's erroneous for me to put 7 there, but I'm just trying to explain that the 7, or trying to express that the 7 still remains, okay? So we have A flat, right? Now here we have A natural, so that just means we have to change that to a flat. Nothing crazy, right? Pretty easy. So that is going to sound like this. You can also notice there's, if you forget that this has anything to do with D, this is F major, major 7. This is F minor, major 7. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the G, and this is where we're going to get a little hairy because I labeled it as an altered. So, normally speaking, this is minimally what someone would do. So now I'm gonna just copy this C voicing, and all I have to do is make it adhere to my chord. So I need an E flat in it, right, because it's C minor. I need a B flat in it because it's C minor minor 7, and then I'm adding the 9th, which is remaining natural. So here, I don't know how to describe this. It's kind of just like tradition, and it makes good voice leading sense to move this top note down chromatically. So this is the 5. We're going to alter this more in a second. And then this is the 1, minor 1. So I'm going to go ahead and play the 2-5-1 in C major. Once again. Now, all I did was I just altered those particular notes, and it sounds like thus. Alright, so there's something that I particularly did not like about this combination, and that is that this A flat did not move along with it. So we're going to further alter this, and for those playing the home game, A flat is the flat 9th in the key of G, right? Because we want to look at this chord in the key of G. The 7th is F natural. The 9th, in this case the flat 9th, is going to be A flat. The third is B natural. The 13th is E, but here we're flatting the 13th, so it's going to be E flat. So now, let's just listen to the contrast between those two. So here's the first voicing where I have A natural in the 5. And then here I keep the A flat in both changes. So I feel in the minor mode that just leaving that A flat and letting that chromaticism happen works better voice leading wise. Granted, it's my opinion, but it's something that I've been doing forever. Sounds better than, to me. Minor change. Here's the thing, do what you want to do, right? If it just says alt, in this case, it's just kind of left up to the pianist anyway. But I would try and stick to this kind of traditional voicing. So all I did, just to recap, was I took these formulas and I just made them adhere to whatever changes I need to make. So, stepping out of minor for a moment, let's do another in C major, but change it up a bit. So here I'm going to do a 2-7 to a 5 Og 7, meaning 5 augmented minor 7, and just a plain old 1, let's call it 1 major minor 7. So we're gonna go ahead and just copy all this stuff here. This right now because I know you all know it, and we can use it as a basis for looking at our alterations. So here I happen to have a major 2. So what makes this voicing D minor? Well, the third, right? The third of D is F sharp. So if I want to make this D major, right? D major just has F sharp in it. Yeah, so all I'm going to do is add that F sharp there. And the 7th stays the same because it's still that minor 7th. So the 2 major minor 7 is done and complete. Da, 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 da. Now, we have this thing. Did I miss something here? F-A-B-E. No, I didn't. Okay, so how are we going to play that augmented, right? Because we have the 13th, which is this E. So generally what I would do is I would just move this down to E flat. And keep in mind, E flat and D sharp are the same notes. It's just easier to write E flat and talk about E flat in this particular instance. But let's just go ahead and, for the sake of illustration and sanity, write in D sharp because it just makes more sense in the context of an augmented chord, right? And now here I have the major 1, so C major minor 7. Okay? So obviously B is natural in the key of C, so I just need to lower that tone, and that's pretty much it. So this particular cadence, it's going to sound like this. Okay? So here we're just using our regular voicings and nothing is really changing that much. So now let's dive into the B voicings and see what they look like minor. Alright, so since we're concerned with the with the B voicings, I've put the B voicings here on the left side because this is what we're going to be concerned about. But I've also just written A voicings over here so you guys can take a look at essentially the very slight differences here between the two. Let's see, do I have a different colored pencil? Well, not a pencil. Yeah, here we go. So here we have this, 737. Here we have 373. It's the same voice motion, just in this case backwards. Here we have 595, 959, 373, 737. The 13th one is the exception. Something you should also remember, just memorize, the 13th is the 6th, and that will make your life easier. Anyway, this all works out so beautifully like this because someone thought about voice leading, essentially. Okay, so let's take a look at playing an F minor, a 2-5-1 in F minor, and we're gonna do a slight variance on what we did before. So we're gonna do G, half diminished, and then we're gonna do, I don't know, C, I wanna do like a, so that's the major, so, yeah, let's make that one a C7 flat 9, and then let's just make this F minor 7. So this is C major minor 7 with a flat 9. Okay, so our 2, if we use the B voicings here, we have the flat 7th on the bottom, which in this case is F. Right? G to F is a flat 7th. The 9th is always 1 above the 8th, which is the octave, so that's going to be A. And then we have the 3rd, which is going to be B flat, right, because it's diminished. And then we are going to have the flat 9th. Did I do that wrong? No, I didn't. So, oh yes I did, because the A needs to be flatted as well. Okay, there you go. So, what am I saying? So we have, alright, it's gotta be diminished. There you go. So I need to flat the D, not the A. Whoops. Okay, so now I have C major minor 7 flat 9. Sounds like a hell of a chord, right? So here again I have the triad C, E, G, B flat, D. The D flat is the flat 9, of course. So let's take a look at it. So now I have 3, which is going to be E, right? That's the 3rd. 13, as I said, equals the 6th. So the 6th is A natural. And in this case we have the flat 7th, which is going to be B flat. And then in this case we have the flat 9th, which is going to be D flat. Okay? And then here, again, just plug in numbers, 7, 9, 3, 5, so F minor, 7, 9, got that A flat in it, right, because it's minor, and then there's your 5th. And that's that. Here's what these particular voicings that I just worked out now sound like, and I believe we're going to wind up with the same problem. So, yeah, same thing. I think this A should be flatted, even though it doesn't say to flat the 13th. Since I'm including that voice, it just sounds better to do that. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? So here we go with the demo of this with the A flat. 3, 2. I think that sounds better, and I believe that that is essentially the standard. Okay, so nothing crazy. All we've done is moved these guys about, right? So this is more or less how you can play really anything. That's why I do these in numbers, is because you can just plug in those numbers into the scale, You can use triads as just kind of a guide to walk through them. I encourage you to do this on your own. And just for giggles, we're going to quickly bring out ye old real book. Alright, so this particular real book is rather ancient, but you can see that it has a couple different 2/5s. I'm going to work on getting you guys, or getting this over here, I guess that would probably help them. Alright, so you can see that this version of Autumn Leaves, especially in this key, is a tad different. Typically, I play Autumn Leaves, I guess, in G minor. And those voicings that I'm playing underneath are so together because they're just the same shapes, essentially. But here, we have different shapes because when you look at it, A to D to G, you'll notice these are all fourths. It's generally the sign of a 2/5-1 of some kind. In this case, this is a 2/5-1 in G. So you can just use your B voicings for that. 7/9/3/5, 3/13/7/9, right? And that works out to be now here I play 7/9/3/5, and notice that it's both the ending and the middle to that. So that's where you can utilize basically a voicing change into the B's. So here I'm specifically playing F sharp, A, B, and D. I'm not even playing E, which I probably should be, but I like to take those three and move them down in this instance, because here I'm going to play E, G, B, D, which is the C major 7 voicing from our 2/5-1. Because it's just more convenient, right? Now, this, because these are fourths, again, this is not a fourth, it's a, what is that, a flat 5, it's a sharp fourth, but it's not a pure fourth, which means it's not a 2/5-1. So here we have perfect fourths. So what I would do is I would just pick up my hand and play, and that's the A voicings. So here I used B voicings, worked in a transition to using, or I'm sorry, yeah, here I used B voicings, and then here I used A voicings. My transition just needs to kind of pick up my hand a bit, but it sounds more interesting because the voicings aren't all the same formula. See? So if you have to, just break stuff down into 2/5-1s. Now, when you have other songs like this thing, this is Autumn in New York. It's just 2/5 festival, forget the ones. And in some instances, there are traditional chord progressions thrown in just to make it, you know, sound better because time is passing. So here's the first 1, 2, 3, 4 bars. Alright, so here, this, I'm sure you noticed, just goes up steps. Looking at the bass notes really helps to give you perspective on just basics of what a song is doing. So here, it's just going up. And then 1, 2, 3, 6. And now we have the 2 again. So here's the same motion happening again. Just just a different resolution. Now, I remember first playing this song. This is C over a G minor chord. So G minor has G, B flat, and D in it, right? So how can you play a melody note? Well, you see, the people who wrote this screwed up. They really want you to play G sus. And whenever I have trouble with music, I pray to G sus. Now, I can't live without motion there. You know, I feel like some bass motion needs to happen there. But anyway, try to play mostly things that have 2-5-1s in them that you can identify. Remember, they're always fourths. What's another one that I would suggest? So another thing to practice is just these 6-2-5-1s. You would have to just kind of figure out a way to play that 6 chord, but if you wanted to play this in its original way, I like to go to E minor, E flat, D minor there. You see I've altered the chords, but in the original way that they have it, there's your 2-5-1 in C. Just figure out a voicing for A for yourself. Most of them are just 2-5-1s, and I anyway like to encourage people to kind of make up their own things and be unique. So, as you can see, I've written in my own changes here, but you should check out There Will Never Be Another You. There's a lot of pivoting in it, and there's a lot of voice leading decisions to be made. Here, you start on E flat. This is a 2-5 in C minor. Another C minor. Here's a 2-5 in A flat. Here, originally, at least written here, is a 2-5 in E flat. And then here's a 2-5 in B flat, just repeating. Here's your minor 5, and there's your B flat again. So if you work on this song, just the chords, you don't have to learn the melody. But mess around with these particular chords. So if you can sing, you should also try to sing along with your comping. So what I'm going to do is well, let's check out my intro. What did I do? C over B flat. This looks interesting. Oh, it's all over. Oh, I see. So it's not 7. This is the fun part when you give yourself so little information. There will be other nights like this. This is an A voicing. And I'll be standing here with someone new. B voicing. 2-5-1 and A flat. There will be enough other songs to sing. Another fall, another spring. There will never be major 2, another you. There will be other lips that man will kiss. 2-5-1. They won't thrill me like yours used to do. 2-5-1 A flat. I may dream a million dreams, but how can they come true if there will never ever be another you? Right? Nothing crazy. Even if you're a bad singer, just sing along to your comping, and it can be done even with the voiceless, the rootless voicings. Ba See? Try to get used to listening to this without a bass. Try to get used to just playing these rootless voicings, because they will throw you for a loop, because I know you've all done so much music. Anyway, that's all the time I will torture you with today. Hopefully this will help you. Remember, use this as a resource. Share it with your friends and your enemies alike. And I will see you next time. We'll go through how to apply the 251s to soloing here. Alright? Take it easy, folks.